Hey everyone, welcome back to Movie Reviews with Friends. I'm Adam, thanks for checking us out. What we have in store for you today is the second installment of our MCU rankings and reviews. This is going to be for The Incredible Hulk. So this movie's directed by Louis Leterrier and starring Edward Norton, so let's jump right in. So this film revolves around Bruce Banner running from the US military. And it's not really clear at first why he's running from the military, but as the film goes on, you kind of are filled in on some of the story. So Bruce Banner has the Hulk inside of him, and he got it from a large exposure to gamma radiation. But it's not really clear on his full origin story. So as the film goes on, they do show some context and they do throw in some flashbacks to fill you in on how this happened. But it does revolve around the idea of you understanding who the Hulk is, which is basically a giant green rage monster.
And I'm a huge fan of the way you lose control and turn into an enormous green rage monster.
Throughout the film, you do see a couple fights where Bruce Banner turns into the Hulk, but I don't want to give too much of the story away. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. So let's jump into some of the more in-depth categories. So the story to this movie has a few things that I don't really feel play well. One of the plot devices they used in the beginning of the movie, and it was kind of a theme throughout, was a heart rate monitor that Bruce Banner wore on his wrist. And I feel like the studio must not have liked it. I didn't like it either because they never carried that device into any of the future films. One of the MOs of the Hulk is that he transforms when he's angry. And in this movie, even when he was kissing his girlfriend, he started to increase his heart rate to a point where he thought he was going to change. And that's not very Hulk-like, to just transform and change when you're excited. I couldn't imagine an excited Hulk, yay, all, jacked up.
We don't do that here.
I think the story actually suffers a little bit there. I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5. So the acting to this movie isn't horrible. I don't think there's really any bad actors in the movie. Liv Tyler's okay. Edward Norton is okay as well, but I feel his Hulk isn't as convincing as Mark Ruffalo's Hulk. Edward Norton only plays the Hulk in this film. Going forward, they switched to Mark Ruffalo. I feel Mark Ruffalo nails the role a lot better. I really felt like William Hurt, after paying attention, I tried to pay a little bit more attention to those secondary characters, and I don't like his character. But the more I watched it, I realized I don't like his character because he plays the character really well. His character Thunderbolt Ross is kind of the jerk bad guy, but not really an actual bad guy. He's just kind of a military personnel who wants to use the Hulk as a weapon. So in that regard, he plays the role really well. I'm going to give the acting a 3 out of 5. The writing here struggled, in my opinion. I'm going to give it a 1.5 out of 5. And some of the reasons was due to the fact that the big fight scene at the end of the movie was lackluster, poorly executed, and I didn't think the reason why the fight stopped even made sense. They're fighting, they're going back and forth, and Hulk chokes out Abomination with a chain. And for some reason they stopped fighting because they realized it was going to hurt his girlfriend. And it didn't make sense. There was really no reason to it. The plot device I mentioned earlier with the heart rate monitor didn't work for me, and obviously didn't work for them either because they removed it in future films. And then there's a few scenes where Liv Tyler confronts her father that just didn't play well on screen. Maybe it was the writing, maybe it was the acting. So I'm going to attribute it to the actual writing, and I'm going to give a 1.5 out of 5. So the effects in this film were actually really good. The Hulk was very striated. You could see all of his definition and how huge he actually was. The Abomination was pretty good too. I really didn't feel like there was a lot of flaws with this. There's a couple things you could kind of tell the movie's 10 plus years old. But in that regard, I feel like this film still gets a 4.2 out of 5. Quality and genre. I always mention rewatchability here. Does the film have it? I don't feel like it does. I feel like this is a film you could skip and still understand the entire MCU. Probably the only film you could skip and understand the entire MCU. So I'm going to give this a 2 out of 5 because it's not a horrible film, but I just don't feel like it fits into the context of the other 23 films. So overall score time, this film for me came out to a 12.7 out of 25, which equates to a 50%. The film really wasn't that great. It wasn't that horrible. It was right in the middle. It got exactly what it deserved there. I feel like going forward in the future, Mark Ruffalo change was the right move to make. Edward Norton, and like I said, it's not that he's bad. I feel like Mark Ruffalo really nails the Hulk role going forward. Rankings. So the ranking of this film, this is only the second film we have on our ranking sheet. Iron Man's number 1. This is going to fall at number 2. So thanks for checking us out. The next film we're going to be watching in this MCU recap is going to be Iron Man 2.